Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of The Tim Show. So, I am now finally caught up with all the projects that I said I was going to get out to you guys within the coming weeks. My Zack Snyder superhero marathon has concluded. I have reviewed Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and yes, we've also talked about Justice League. I've been talking about the newest episodes, The Falcon Winter Soldier. I'm now all caught up with that. And my review of Godzilla vs. Kong is now available to watch. And I do want to apologize, saying that I am sorry that those two videos came out on the same day. I planned to have them out even earlier, but work got a little crazy. I got really tired, just kind of been exhausting, so I do apologize for that. But now I'm officially all caught up with all my projects. And like always, as soon as a new episode of The Falcon Winter Soldier airs, I will be watching it, and I will be making a review and have that out to you guys as soon as possible. And I'm pretty sure that hopefully this Friday there should be no delays. I should have that video out that specific day. I will try, though. I am getting my second vaccination on that day, so I'm not sure how I'm going to be feeling. So I'm hoping that if I just watch it and record the video as quickly as I can before I possibly feel any side effects, then I'll still be all caught up. But since I have a little bit of leeway this week, I thought, let's dive into some random stuff that I want to talk about that I maybe recently just finished, or just things that I love that you just might like. And I also wanted to start, since I have some time before maybe a next big movie comes out, to really just, talk about things that I want to talk about. I want to make another story video. I want to tell more funny stories about things that have happened in my life or anything like that. But today we're going to be talking about actually our very first anime review. Yes, we're diving into anime. And I know it should probably be said right now, well, Tim, if you're talking about anime, why aren't you talking about your favorite, Sword Art Online, first? Well, I had some trouble recording a video for Sword Art Online, so I haven't decided yet how I'm going to do that. But yes, I will be reviewing Sword Art Online eventually. It's coming, guys. It's coming. But I felt like it was probably the best to start with Season 1 of Attack on Titan, because as of yesterday, I had just finally finished watching Season 1 of Attack on Titan, and I have a little bit of some backstory with that, so that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be doing my very first anime review, and now we can just dive into whatever I want to talk about. So let's talk about Season 1 of Attack on Titan. Now, how am I familiar with this show? Honestly, I heard about Attack on Titan from everybody, even because I believe Attack on Titan Season 1 first debuted in Japan in 2013, from when I did my research. And I don't think we got in the US, well, in terms of the anime, until I believe 2014, because I know it was a manga. But essentially, I think it was 2014. So I was a senior in high school when the very first season of Attack on Titan dropped. And honestly, everybody was talking about this show. All, my big anime friends, they were talking about Attack on Titan. You may not even have watched the show, but you at least knew the basic concept of what Attack on Titan was. Humans fighting giant humans for rule of the world. That was essentially it. So I was familiar with a little bit of it, but it just never really kind of caught my interest, because early on in 2014, I didn't even start watching Sword Art Online yet. I wasn't even really big to anime yet until probably the summer of 2015. Actually, no, I think it was summer of 2016. I think it was, yeah. I may have to look again in my video, but I didn't start getting into anime with Sword Art Online until probably a few years after, leading up to probably before I think it was before 2017. I think it was either 2015 or 2016 is when I actually started watching Sword Art Online. That really got me hooked onto anime in general. But I had heard about Attack on Titan from everybody. Everybody was talking about it. And I feel like eventually I said to myself, maybe I'll watch it. I've heard it's very action-packed. It's dark, and it's depressing as shit. And early on, I actually did start watching the first season a few years ago. But then I just kind of gave up, just because there were things that I just didn't like about it. Some things that were driving me insane. And some things that just really annoyed me. But there were some things I liked about it. But let's kind of go over the plot first, and I'll kind of go into those more specific details. But for this review, this will be a non-spoiler review. I'll try my best not to say anything, so that way you guys can go into the show with not having any spoilers and whatnot. So essentially, the main plot for Attack on Titan Season 1 is after witnessing a very big tragedy, our three main characters, Eren, Mikasa, and Armin, decide to join the military and try and stop these gigantic monsters called Titans, which are basically like us. They're humans, but they're giant and they eat people. So after witnessing some horrible shit, they decide to join up with the military and try and take on these Titans, but then certain things happen as they're training, and then shit hits the fan. That's really honestly all I can say without going into spoilers, so I know it's not very much in terms of plot. But that's essentially what you're getting with Season 1. Probably when I finish Season 2 and I talk about Season 2, I'll be able to kind of go a little bit more in depth with the story because I'll be able to talk a little bit more about the spoilers. But that's essentially it. Three friends witnessing things, decide to join the military and take out these Titans. And kind of like with most animes, this Season 1 has two big story arcs. But from what I did my research, there are actually multiple tiny story arcs compiled into two big ones. But essentially for that first half, it's what I said. But for the second half, it's something completely different, and I can't really talk about the second half of the first season because it does spoil events from the first half. So that's really all I can say about that. But now that I've gotten back into watching it, I do believe that my opinions of Attack on Titan has changed. But yeah, I started watching it before. I think I might even start watching it around 2018 or 2019. I started watching it. And there were things that I liked about it. Obviously, one of the things I liked was, the whole concept of once these kids graduate from the military, they get to choose what kind of place they want to go into. That being the scouts, military police, or I think roaming about the walls. And each symbol is different. You see this symbol almost everywhere you go. And I was actually at Disney one time. I was visiting the Japan Pavilion, and I never finished Season 1 of Attack on Titan, but for some reason I wanted to own a shirt with this symbol on it because I really liked it. And it's also in the back, it's also I got the wings on the back, so that was really cool. So I got this shirt at Disney, and then my brother was like, "Wait, you watch Attack on Titan?" I'm like, I'm a little bit more than halfway done with the first season, so I guess there's that. So yeah. But then recently I decided to jump back into it because a lot of people have been talking about a lot of crazy things happening in the final season. And I'm like, okay, people have been talking a lot of hype and praise for this final season. Maybe I'll start to get back into it. And I realized to myself, wait a minute, it's only 4 seasons long. So it wouldn't take me that long to finish it in the first place. So I'm like, okay, it's only 4 seasons. Let's see if I can just plow through this. So over the course of the past few days, I started binging and rewatching the first season of the show. I finished it last night. And my opinions have changed a little bit. There are some things that are still the same, but honestly, I'm more happier after watching it all over a second time and actually finishing it. But since I like to save my positives for last, let's go into some of my dislikes. And these could be potentially minor spoilers, so you've been warned. Some of the things that this show really I'm just kind of like, really? Seriously? Is mostly just because the fact that if you're going into this show, and I was one of those people that walked into this show thinking something. You go into the show and you think that almost every episode it's going to be all these kids, now young adults, taking on these giant titans, maybe a different titan each episode. And I'm like, okay, I could get used to that, taking on a new titan. That sounds like it would be pretty cool. Honestly, that's not what you're getting here. This show is all about survival. In fact, I have officially dubbed this show the Game of Thrones of anime. Yes, I said that because to me that's what I feel. That's what it feels like when I watch it. Even though I've kind of tossed Game of Thrones out of my head after that final season, but I mean by Game of Thrones in a good way. And that's the fact that with a show like this, you never know who's going to bite the bullet. There are a lot of surprises in the show that you are not expecting. And honestly, it did take me back to when I first started watching Game of Thrones, and I realized that some characters might not make it past the next episode. So that's something I did like about it. It brought me back some good memories from Game of Thrones. Another thing, too, is that, it's all about survival, and it's very character-driven, too. Very character-driven, fight for survival. But the thing is, it's depressing as shit, guys. Like, again, you think you're going in for something else, but no, you're going for it's a very depressing story. There are not a lot of lighthearted moments in this, so far for me, in this first season. You'll get those tiny little moments, but don't expect them to really last. And that's just the kind of show that this is. Another thing that I really did have a problem with in this first season is our main central character, who is Eren. Full name, Eren Yeager. Eren, first things first, and this is a positive, the voice actor for Eren is the voice actor for the main character of Sword Art Online, Kirito. So I was already hooked on that when I first started watching. I'm like, oh, great, I like his voice. The voice actor does a really good job. But man, oh man, Attack on Titan is something completely different. Because this character just doesn't know when to calm the hell down. Like, this character has gone through some stuff, and I get that. But honestly, there's probably not one I don't even think there's an episode in this first season where he is not, like, yelling out of his mind. And it's gotten to the point when I'm watching it that I'm just kind of like, dude, shut up. We get it. You want to kill Titans. We get it. You don't have to reiterate it so many times. So that was a little annoying. I mean, he's still a strong character because he has goals to try and end this whole Titan curse thing, whatever's going on. But this first season, I just kind of find him mostly on the annoying side. And I'm really hoping that once I dive into Season 2, Season 3, and Season 4, that maybe his character development, he's a lot more calmer. He's not as aggressive. Now, there could be something in the story that leads to why his character is like that. But for me personally, I just find it really annoying. It's like, there are more characters on this show that, I get it. The Titans are very scary and they're very dangerous, but some of them know how to compose themselves while also showing that little hint of fear. But Eren, just take a chill pill, man. Just take a chill pill. But yes, Eren, the main character, kind of bothered me in this first season. There's that. It's depressing, and it's not going to be what you expect. So that's something that I do have to say for my dislikes, because I kind of almost would have liked it if each episode was them facing a different type of Titan. I think that would have added to, the threat of these Titans and more character building. But we still get great character building in this episode. But as far as the negative, and another negative, before I kind of jump into the positive, I almost forgot about this, the big one. There is kind of a twist. I'm not going to say it, obviously. But when you get to the second half of Season 1, they try to play up the secret of something. It's obvious from the very beginning. I mean, I don't know if it's just me. And I should stress this right now. I have not read the manga, so I'm going into the show blind. The little twist with the second half of the first season, when they try to play up the mystery of something, right then and there, I knew what it was. So it really didn't shock me to know who this person was, because one, the look of this person is completely obvious, and second, the intro plainly gives it away about who this person is. And for those of you that have watched or read Attack on Titan, you know who I'm talking about here. But for those of you who don't, you're going to be able to pick this up within the intro sequence, because each intro sequence changes within each half of a season. So the second half of the season has a new intro, and it's so obvious. But here's what we get. Now we're going into the positives. Even though I knew what was coming, the execution of the surprise and everything that goes on after was done very well. And that's something I do have to give the show props in. Even though there's a lot of tragic shit that happens in this season, how it's played out, the action, the character building, it's all really good. You really feel for these characters. And some of my standout characters are definitely going to be Jean. I think Jean is a character who you see in the beginning kind of act like an ass, but now he really, at the end of this first season, he seems like a very loyal friend who's there to help stop these Titans. So he definitely witnessed a lot of character development. And I thought he was going to be one of those characters that I was going to hate, but now I actually kind of like him. Now, granted, I don't know where he's going to go in this series, but that's where I'm sticking with right now in this first season. Armin, who started off very afraid of the Titans, is now not afraid to get his hands dirty, and he's become very brave. So I got to give him props too. And probably my two biggest favorite characters of this first season, probably of the whole show. It's not Eren. It's actually Mikasa and Commander Levi. These two are fucking great. Mikasa, I think, has it's a very tragic backstory, but one that I think is shown and played out very well, and it really shows you the relationship she has with Eren going forward. Very powerful, very dark, but, you get it. And, she's kind of like the silent hero, silent badass. We don't still know very much about Captain Levi, but, he's very calm. He understands the situation. He doesn't lose his cool. Not yet, because I haven't continued watching the show. But apparently he's like the one person in the scout regiment that has killed the most Titans. I think his record might be 30. I can't quite recall. I have to maybe look that up. But very great characters, very great action. Another big thing is the music. The intro sequence, the intros and outros for the show are always great. Like, I loved watching those. I loved hearing those. I never skip them because I like hearing the music. But just the music that you hear, when they're fighting, when there's something sad going on, or when, they're trying to build towards a positive thing and you start hearing some voices in the music, that's really good too. And I think overall, the first half of the show, I did almost kind of started not to watch anymore. I will admit, the first half of the show, I did want to turn it off and just be like, you know what? Forget it. I'll maybe try this another time. But I kept on going. I got past the part where I did, because I stopped watching the show back then when I had, I believe, 3 episodes left in the first season. I know that's kind of sad. Dude, really only had 3 episodes? Well, I just kind of stopped. But now I kept going forward. And I gotta say, the ending of season 1 definitely surprised me, and it was executed very well. Even though I saw the little twist coming, I still thought it was really well done. I'm very excited to see where season 2 is going to go. But at the same time, though, after seeing the ending of season 1, I'm just like, really? We just can't have one thing apiece? Something's got to go down? I don't know. I mean, again, it's interesting to see how it goes. And I think my attitude towards the show is definitely a lot more positive than it was back in the day. But I will admit, just getting back into the second half, that first half was still kind of rough. It had its moments, but there were just a couple things that really did make me just want to turn it off and not watch it. But finishing off the first half of the show and then going through the second half of the show, first season, I gotta stop saying show because it's not the entire show, but the first season was really well done. Really good. I really enjoyed watching the rest of season 1, and even just watching it from the beginning. It was nice to kind of get back into it. And I will say, now that we're kind of like getting towards summer, it kind of feels good to start watching anime in the summer, or even watching a new show, because that's what I did for Sword Art Online. And there's a really good feeling about just sitting there with the fans on, with the sunshine. I know you should probably be going outside, but just sitting there and watching anime. There's something actually really good about it. And it felt really good to kind of just sit back and watch this first season. With addressing my negatives, I'm going to give season 1 of Attack on Titan, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Very good first season. I don't think that my negatives really drag it down too much. Because I think, everything else with the character building, the music, and the action, everything else, I think that really boosts it up. But again, I can't stress this enough. You have to know what you're getting into with this show. You have to realize it's going to be dark, it's going to be depressing, but there are some great elements in the show, and that's why I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. My annoyances with Eren aside, the fact that it is kind of depressing and, kind of boring in that first half, the second half and the ending of the first half really makes up for that. And that's why I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Well, guys, that's my review of the first season of Attack on Titan. I have not started watching season 2 yet. I plan on doing that sometime a little bit later. I'm going to take a tiny little bit of a break from Attack on Titan, even though I know that when I went to Hulu to watch it, I believe season 2 is only 12 episodes, which is kind of strange, because the first season was over 25 episodes, but season 2 is only 12. So it'll probably not take me too long to finish season 2, so I'll try to get that review out. And then, like I said, I want to do some more story videos, and eventually, I promise you guys, I'm going to review Sword Art Online. I think I've finally kind of figured out a way of how I can, do a review of it. Just got to have the time because of work and whatnot, and I'm getting my second vaccine tomorrow. But yes, there's a lot of great stuff coming. Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 4 will be released this Friday. And as far as big blockbuster movies go, even though I've never played a Mortal Kombat game in my life, even though I played with some of the characters in Injustice and Injustice 2, I might be going to the theaters to see Mortal Kombat. If I don't see Mortal Kombat in theaters, I'll probably watch it on HBO Max, even though part of me really kind of wants to see it in theaters. So that's like the next big movie release I'll be doing is Mortal Kombat. No matter what, if I can get around to it, I will review Mortal Kombat. But I have some other small stuff coming. I will try my damnedest to get episode 4 of the Falcon Winter Soldier reviewed to you guys as quickly as possible. But thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.